Ready?
ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Wish you all a very happy Makara Sankranti, a very happy Kumbha this year, Mahakumbha, and it's a wonderful time. May this 2025 bring a bright year for all of us. Thank you so much. So, what a coincidence. I was just thinking that we have seen about the Vedanta, we have seen about the Jnana aspect of it, that how Sanatana Dharma has questioned the very aspect of Dharma itself and see that how it is something which leads us to moksha, the purpose of life. And that is the most important aspect of this particular culture, Sanatana Dharma culture. For ages, for thousands of years, it has been coming up. And I stepped into the description of the role of Puranas. In fact, the very important thing is that, as I said, that the Puranas have been revived. Actually, the whole ideas of Purana have been given to the people. First time, Vyasa has written 18 Puranas, Ashtadash Puranas, and all that. Afterwards, Shankaracharya is somebody who has revived these Puranas by giving various stotras of various gods and goddesses, the temples, something numbers of temples, and all those things that were there. Also, I said while talking about Shankaracharya that he wanted to integrate everybody in the population together in this particular journey towards spirituality. That's why he also created not only this four major mathas, but he also created what is called as Dashanami Sampradaya. That means to say, he put together all the 10 different various sampradayas to reach out people at various levels. Like, for example, people who are in the hills and people who are in the ocean side. That's why he has created, their names are also like that. Giri Sampradaya. Similarly, like, all these things they are there to show that how all these people are part of this particular Sanatana Dharma. In a short period of time, he did that. Apart from that, I also saying that he is the one person who has integrated all the people who are in the Himalayas, in the mountains, in the form of Nagas, and the Bhils. These Bhils and Nagas are created by Shankaracharya because basically that they were also not only following the Dharma, extraordinary wonderful path of Dharma, but they also protected Dharma. That's what the recent history shows, that and the Mughals were trying to destroy temples, particularly Dwarka temple. It is these Nagas who really fought with the British, fought with the Muslims, and they protected this temple. So, like that, there are now these are only the stories that we know, but there may be so many stories which we do not know, because how many such temples, how many such tirthasthanas in the Himalayas, they are protected. That's why they are existing today, these Naga Sampradayas. And they have both ideas of spirituality and also warfare that they were trained in themselves. And they come out to the people where they live, where they stay. Nobody knows about that. Only thing is during this Mahakumbha Mela that they come. And this is a very extraordinary thing. It is because of this bringing all these people back into the society, at least once in a while to interact with the society, be in the society, that it is again Shankaracharya during his lifetime, he revived this Mahakumbha Mela. That is what I heard. That's what I read about him. So this is also another extraordinary work of Adi Shankaracharya. He brought about the people. That's the reason why one Naga Baba was saying that we have really great respect for Mahakumbh Mela. We see that it is something which we really attend. And we know exactly the dates when this Kumbh Mela occurs because the dates are based on the planetary positions. So we said that we know exactly when does it happen. Wherever maybe in the Himalayas, different akhadas are there. 13 different akhadas are there belonging to different akhadas, but we still come and join exactly on this particular date. And that's what is the beauty of the Kumbh Mela. And who are these Naga sadhus? Many of them are Digambar, that means they don't have any dress. Others are, they have a pedicat with the bhasma, completely covered with the bhasma. And they live in the Himalayas, they don't wear any warm clothing or anything like that, simple little clothes. In fact, he was saying that this Naga, Baba was saying that we are like the way that we were born. That simple we were born. And we have come to the nature in the form of a nature as a nature person. So we adapt to the nature. Not that we cover ourselves with the clothes and all that, but we adapt ourselves with this nature. So we live in the forest in the nature. And it was such a enchanting to know that two such Naga Babas were interviewed, and they said one of them is from Bangalore, and his name is, I think, Hegade or something like that, and Kulkarni. And then he said that he's an IIT graduate, and then he was in a job for 40 lakhs of rupees a year, kind of a package. He said he gave up all those things and went and joined the Naga Babas. And he was all the time laughing. He said, did you not miss that big package of money that people look forward for that? He said, no. In fact, that is nothing compared to what we live here. It is so extraordinary to know that. There is another person who also gave an interview. He's also IIT gold medalist from Kharagpur or something like that. And then after that, he joined this Nagaba. And he said, I'm so very happy with that. The life is something which is really flowing. And both of them are supposed to be the Naga Babas of Digambar origin. That means they don't wear clothes and all that. But that they're very happy. They're living like that. And then they come to Kumbh Mela. They have come to the Kumbh Mela. It was some Niranjan Academy. He and this Kulkarni is heading the Niranjan Academy. And he said, life is so satisfying and all that. There are so many Nagas who have come. The groups are there, Nagas, which are women. And they're also so bright and they're so educated. But all those things, they join the Nagas. So these are the things. And then when she was asked that, yes, Baba Naga Babas, the men, yes, they can be Digambar, but we are supposed to protect the culture. So that's why we cover ourselves. So this is what they reported. It's such a satisfying to see that so many people have come. And it is one of its kind, this Mahakumbha. This is one in 144 days, 44 years it will take place. Once happened earlier was 144 years ago. That means 12 times 12. And then this time again, we are very fortunate that during our lifetime, we see that some Kumbh Mela has taken place. So many people were there, almost like 40 crores of people were there. And in fact, it says that it is twice the population of Pakistan that the people assembled. And still people are going there and offering and the arrangements are stupendous. And the way that the care is taken to see that everybody is there. Now, this is extraordinarily wonderful thing to show that this is the effect of our Puranas in our culture. However much that we are intellectual, however much that we have developed rationality, we have put the vehicle on the moon. We did all kinds of things, and we are the topmost in this in the area of science. Like the way that we were there earlier days, we were also top in the science, and in riches and the finance and the economy. Today also we are going up like that, but at the same time that we are also having such a deep connection with these Puranas. And of all the Puranas, the most important aspect of this Puranas, the starting of the Puranas, is the idea of Samudra Mathana. And that's when basically the Danavas and Devatas, they churn the ocean And for the sake that they wanted to bring out the Kumbha, and that's what is represented by this Kumbha Mela. Mela means getting together. Kumbha is, it's not an ordinary pot. It is that special pot in which that Amrita Kalasha that has come during the churning of this ocean by Devatas and Danavas. The Kumbha came up, and it is exactly the time when the Kumbha Rashi, that Krishna, the sun, planet sun, entered into the Kumbha Rashi, and at the same time that Jupiter, that is supposed to Brahaspati, entered into Kumbha Rashi. That's why it is once in 20 years that this kind of, the 144 years, this kind of thing will happen. And that's where at the Prayag, because the Prayag is important because of the Saraswati River. And this is where Triveni Sangama, where Ganga, Yamuna, and then Saraswati Guptagamini, that is there. Saraswati River is flowing underground, various reasons. The Puranic stories are there about that. It's so nice to hear all those things. So that's why I said that Puranas are not only that the people have written these Puranas, imagination is there, but at the same time, they're connected with both our astrology and our calendar. At the same time, with the places that are there in this particular land, in the Sanatana Dharma. So therefore, that what can be, how can you remove anything of this, right? For example, you can't remove the temples and maintain this culture. You cannot take away the rituals and maintain this culture. Nor you cannot take away these various festivities like this going on, Mahakumbha Mela and all that going on. So therefore, this Sanatana Dharma is something that it stands so strong with its roots, which is for tens of thousands of years, in various forms that we have. In fact, if you go a little deeper than that, deeper in that and see that there's so much connected with our health, our culture, our education, so many things that are involved in this particular Puranas that we have. So therefore, these Puranas are very, very important part of this Sanatana Dharma culture. But what do we have to do with these Puranas is another thing. For our journey towards moksha, that's why it is Sanatana Dharma. To some degree or the other, people who are going there, knowingly, unknowingly, they are going in the direction of Sanatana, in the direction of Dharma to moksha. This is definitely happening in the form of this extraordinary, wonderful consciousness which is getting together on this Mahakumbha Mela that is there going on. Very, very happy to see that we are all here during this time when Mahakumbha Mela is going on. In Prayagraj, it is going on. Wherever we may be, thanks to the media that we get all the pictures and everything, especially for the people like me. I'm little away from crowds. So therefore, I feel that it's much more. Crowd I can see on the TV, but I cannot be in the crowd unless until it's properly taken care of. So therefore, there are so many things that are there. So many of our people have attended that Mahakumbha. Once again, wish you all a very, very happy and spiritual journey of this Mahakumbha Mela that is taking place today. It is a representation of our Puranas, Puranic stories that are there. As I said, the Purana and this idea of Purana itself, as I said, it's so lofty compared to the simple intellect level that you cannot understand it. Let me recollect my earlier position that I have given you, that consciousness has this feeling behind it, bhavana. Bhavana is something which is belonging to consciousness, and that's at the level of our jivatma, or at the level of individual self that we have that bhava. And the bhava is the first thing that we are born with. Intellect comes much later. I said that about the intellect also, saying that we have these tools in our hand with which that we work, and these tools are called as karana in Sanskrit, and we have bahya karanas, that is where basically the eyes, ears, etc., etc., and these are the perceptive organs. Apart from that, we have the motor organs, that's also Bahya Karnas, which are supposed to be hands and legs and all these things which are there outside. But these things only keeping us in touch with the world outside, because outside is the world, interaction with the world outside. So, but these are all the karnas, the instrument that we use. It's like the way that eyes, we identify ourselves with the eyes, we say that we are eyes, but Upanishad very clearly says you use the eyes. Eyes are the instrument in your hand. It's your eyes, you are behind it. Your ears, your hand. The same way I've seen with my own eyes when we say that you are not the eyes. I touched it and felt it. It is cold. That means to say the instrument called as hand, you touch with that. So therefore, basically, these are all instruments, these Bahya Karanas. Apart from that, all this information that comes from the Bahya Karanas is processed inside, which is called as the Antakaranas. And Antakaranas, we have four: Manas, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara. In a simple way that we try to understand what are these things is nothing but the manas is that where all this information is completely gathered together. It's like a junction box. What you see, you put it there. What you hear, you put it there. What you touch, what you sense, all those things, taste, all those things you put in that junction box. And that junction box where basically that information that is there, and also that information from the memory, which is supposed to be chitta. So chitta supplies the memory of it, so that what happens now, intellect works with that. Intellects put these together and say, yes, this is the mango fruit. Because the memory says that it is mango fruit. I have seen this mango fruit. Information now it is mango fruit. So they match together. And who is the person who works with these things? He is the person called as the Ahankara. Now, the way that how clearly that Indian philosophy, Sanathana Dharma, looks at is this Ahankara is Asmita, is the one which is useful aspect of your eye. The eye that is working with these things, and intellect is something which discriminates. This is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. This is much more right compared to the other one, which is earlier that my memory has it. So therefore, all this comparison, everything is done by the intellect. So all these four things are karanas. Karanas is another instrument in your hands. You are not that. The moment that you are withdrawing from that, then all these things, karanas, Bahya Karana, Santa Karana, they don't function at all. They have no functionality at all. It looks like that they are functioning, but actually they are not functioning. It is through the prana, it is the mind which is, it is the self which is watching all these things. Yourself is involving in all these things. You are seeing. It's not the eyes are seeing, you are seeing, you are hearing, you are talking. It's you who are using all these karanas and getting into that. But many times what happens is that we forget this knowledge that I am behind all those things, but I identify myself with the object outside, identify myself with the sensory organ outside. So this is what Mandukya in Ishavasya Upanishad very clearly he demarcates these two things, that you are associated with the ego, identifying with that, and that's what he says that you are doing the upasana of ego, and second thing is upasana of the object outside. Upasana of the object, upasana of the ego. These are the things which Ishavasya Upanishad puts it very clearly. And behind all those things that you are there. And what are the problems? What are the difficulties? By identifying yourself with the object outside, identify yourself with the ego. And that's what in the Ishavasya Upanishad, very clearly sage presents all those things. And there, while telling all those things, the sage also very beautifully presents it, saying that iti shushrama purvesha, like that earlier people have given it. Such an extraordinary, wonderful truth that Rishi is giving, but he doesn't claim the ownership of it. In fact, many times, apaurushya, that means ownership is not there for all these mantras of the Upanishad. Nobody claims that they are him who is given. In fact, even look at the Bhagavad Gita also. Krishna gives the whole teaching of Bhagavad Gita. That's why, but when you look at Bhagavad Gita, You come across this address saying that Dhritarashtra Uvacha, Sanjay Uvacha, Arjuna Uvacha, like that. The same way he could have said Krishna Uvacha or Vasudeva Uvacha, but he did not say that. He said Bhagavan Uvacha. That means to say the ego of Krishna doesn't exist there when he gives such an extraordinary, wonderful truth, like Bhagavad Gita. See, these are all the very simple things that we need to observe. That Rishi also in Ishavasya Upanishad says, earlier people I heard from them. Iti Shushuma Purvesham Yenasad Vichachakshide. And that adjective that is given to the earlier people, Purvesham, is something very important. Vichachakshide, that means they clearly understand, they have the very clear jnana about all those things, knowledge about all those things. Those people have given us the information, and that we am presenting it here. You have to hear from those people so that you hear. So that it also implies one thing is that you cannot read somewhere, you cannot yourself get something. You need somebody who can really explain to you, give you details about that so that you get the information. Wow, kind of an information. In fact, in Ishavasya Upanishad, it says like that, but the same thing in Taittiriya Upanishad also. When he comes to that idea where it is something which is coming from extraordinary level, he says, how, ahamannam, ahamannam. You know, that mantra indicates that how he got into that ecstasy, Vismaya. And Vismaya Yoga Bhumika is also another statement. Yoga is something which carries that idea of Vismaya. So all these things show that there is a level far beyond the level of intellect. Intellect is like a small little peak in our house, in our town, whereas the Upanishad rishis, whatever that their experience that they're talking about, is something like a Himalaya, like the Everest that is there. So that is the gap between that. And it is from that experience, bhavana, that rishis have brought about all these Puranas. So therefore, Puranas are extraordinary, wonderful texts. Though Vedas, Upanishads are intellectual texts, but Puranas are something which is far beyond that. And Vedas have got these two components that are there. One is called as Karma Kanda, and the other is the Jnana Kanda. Jnana Kanda is something which is the knowledge portion of it, Upanishads that we have discussed earlier. But now the Karma Kanda is the activities that are there in the physical level that we do it, in the outward level that you do it. And a lot of these Karma Kanda has two components. One is that karma that you do for the sake of world outside. And second thing is, often people talk about is the karma kanda is the rituals that we perform. All these rituals are based on these Puranas. So these are the two aspects of it. One is that I do the activity for sake of my livelihood, my way of living. And the other thing is that is something which is embellishing the life and which is supposed to be these Puranas. And from that, the karma kanda that is born. And this Kumbh Mela is one such a thing. That's an extraordinary thing to see that how it is integrated in our way of life. And before that, we had even Sankranti, is also another festival, another such a wonderful occasion where we have integrated the Puranas concept into our day-to-day life. So therefore, that these are all the things which are supposed to preserve our Sanatana Dharma at individual level, at the group level, at the society level. And it's such a degree that the Sanatana Dharma existed. Where do you stop it? Only thing is that you cannot participate in that. You arrogantly say that it doesn't exist, I don't want to participate. Or humbly you can say that yes, this is something which great people are doing it, but I'm not for it. These are the two categories of people. But you cannot eliminate Sanatana Dharma from the world outside. In fact, that's why when people say that what will happen to Dharma now, you see, I often come across as people, such extraordinary, wonderful ideas are there in Sanatana Dharma. How do we preserve it? What will be there to preserve it? How can we make it live? How can we give it to the younger generation who don't have to worry about it? The system is so strong, so deep, and all these things are part of that. Whether you call it as the melas like this, or the temples that we have, rituals that we have, the mantras that we have, the literature that we have, Puranas that we have. All these things are so extraordinary to maintain. There is no way that a house is without any uh, Sanatana Dharma aspect within that. In fact, the whole idea of Sanatana Dharma, when we say that, earlier I had given that explanation also. Sanatana, one thing is that it is, people call it as ancient. It's not ancient, ever existing. It's always there. And the second thing is Sanatana Dharma. In my view, it is something, it is like the way Manav Dharma. That means anybody, anywhere can easily adapt it. Therefore, there is no question of you have to convert anything, you have to become anything like that. You see that how many people from different origin of different places, they, in their culture, they never had this dharma aspect of it, concept of it. They have come and merged themselves with the Sanatana Dharma. This you can see in Kumbh Mela. People coming from various aspects. She says that she has almost completed her PhD, and from the Stanford University, it was extraordinary. But then once she came to India, she saw that the spiritual growth, development it is there. She said, I never went back to England, America. It's attracted me. Like that, we have all the stories from everywhere that's happening. And also that there are people who visited this place have taken the Sanatana Dharma into their countries, into their way, even though they were alone practicing it. I know a family in Poland, and I visited that family. The moment I went there, they greeted me with Hindi, saying that, Aiye, Namaskar. I said, but you are a Polish family? Yes, but we converse in our family, either in Hindi or in Sanskrit. And when I went to their house, it's like they have mats sitting on the floor. They have the chai, they have the things which are paratha, like the way that Indian food, Indian system that they have adapted. Everybody in the family is like that. And he showed me his bookshelf, where all perceivable Sanskrit books are translated into Polish language. He kept it there. When I looked at that bookshelf, I was really surprised because all the four Vedas are there, Bhagavad Gita is there, and Gita translations written by Chinmayananda, etc., etc. He translated them into Polish language. They are also there. When I was looking at all those things, suddenly I felt, somebody by name Mircea Eliade in Romania also, he visited India. He was so impressed, he wrote a book. Mircea Eliade, they written a book in Romania. Later on, it is translated in English. I read the English book. He went inside and brought a book, and that book is Mircea Eliade's book. He translated into Polish language. I was so shocked, surprised. Not only that, there is one girl, and she comes from, again, Poland, absolutely, totally devoted to Indian culture, India. In fact, many times when I hear her, I feel that Indians are not committed to India as much as that she is committed to our culture. And her name is Catherine. She married a Bengali Goswami. It's extraordinary, wonderful people. So it went into all the cultures. In fact, there's one lady, she born and brought up and grew up in Vietnam, and she lives in California. And then in California, she runs an ashram, and her name is Swami Sitaramananda. Very good friend of ours, very cordial, very inviting us. So we are very close to, Yoga Bharati is very close to Sitaramananda. Casually, one day I asked her that, look, you are from Vietnam, and some place near Ho Chi Minh City, and a smaller place. And then what was your maiden name before you came in contact with the yoga and sannyasa and all that? Because sannyasa name is Sitaramananda. You must have had an original Vietnamese name. She said, no, my original name when I was born, my parents had given me the name Sitaramananda. I was shocked. It was not that she had that culture, but it has come from her parents. My mother wanted that if girl child is born, she wanted to name as Sita. If the boy is born, the name is Rama. But then my Father insisted that when I'm born, I carry both the names as Sita Rama. And later on, when I met Swamiji, Swamiji gave the name of Sita Ramananda. So that's how I hold this. Vietnam, in a small village, that they are dedicated to Sita Rama like that. Is it not something which is wonderful, Sanatana Dharma? So it is like this, that you can join Sanatana Dharma or you can give up. But Sanatana Dharma cannot be eliminated. That's why, yada yada dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata, and dharma declines when people translate that. Abhyuthanam atharmasya tatatmanam sujamyam. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that dharmasya glanir bhavati, dharma declines. I said that dharma will not decline. Dharma is always there. But then what do you mean by dharmasya glanir bhavati? The idea is dharma is clouded. Dharma is not clouded in the world outside. Dharma is clouded around you. You don't recognize the beauty of the dharma. You don't realize the importance of dharma, and you don't realize the power of dharma. That's why you give up. Just because that few people are following adharma, you also join that adharma, saying that what to do. World is like that. They don't tell that everybody lies, everybody is corrupt. So therefore, I am also corrupt. It's your perception is clouded. That's why dharmasya glanir bhavati is not that. People follow dharma, but then they don't project dharma is something which is extraordinary, wonderful, that you need to follow. I always used to share one experience of my earlier days when I was an engineer. I had a colleague who was absolutely honest, sincere, and being in the government job, that he was doing, he would not waste any single paper, anything from the office, government, and he would have his own. And he had 4 children. Naturally, 4 children are there. A lot of money, expenditure. Poor fellow is earning little money. So his dress is not properly done. He is not properly dressed up. Pathetic look. And when I asked him, how are you doing? He said, well, why you ask me how am I doing? I'm very honest, sincere, and committed. Therefore, my life is like that. I would tell him, my dear sir, if you are like this and you say that you are honest, if a couple of other people who want to be honest, they will not be encouraged to be honest. They will say better to be dishonest. This is what is called as dharmasya glanir bhavati. Who prevents the dharma? Who clouds the dharma? We cloud the dharma. That's why I always say that you be honest, but at the same time, you be proud to be honest. This is one aspect of it. Second thing is, people say that I'm very honest, I'm sincere, I did all kinds of positive things in my family. Look at the way that how people cheated me. See, honesty, people who are honest are the people who suffer. And they have all the examples also saying that, Rama suffered, he was extraordinary, etc., all those things. That means you are connecting, you are suffering to the honesty. By that way, that what happens is that you are creating a glani for the dharma itself. You are giving a message that you should not be honest. Unfortunately, that's what is the way that world goes. That is the reason why Krishna says, Yada yada dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata, abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. It's I bring about. Atma means I. I means actually it is not that Krishna, the individual. Because people wait, God will come to save us. It's not that God will not come anywhere. Abhyuthanam adharmasya. That means to say, out of that, in that group itself, your own conscience, your own individuality will come up. You will come up with the harm of dharma and sujamyaham. So that's what we are trying to bring about. Paritranaya sadhunam, vinashaya cha dushkritam, dharma samsthapanarthaya, sambhavami yuge yuge. Again and again, yuge yuge, at all the times, this will be happening. Look at the way one Kumbh Mela, Maha Kumbh Mela, taken care of in such a way, has given the enthusiasm to the people, encouragement to the people to be once again Sanatana Dharmis, go into the path of Dharma. So these are the things which will really help us to see that how Dharma, glorified Dharma, enters into our life. So we have all these rituals. This is once in 12 years, this Mahakumbha Mela happens. Apart from that, the whole story is that after this, that there are 4 different places where this Kumbha Mela happens. It is actually the Kumbha is that one which comes from the churning of the ocean, that it comes with the Amrutatva. The very Amrita Bhanda, Amrita Kumbha that is there, what we got it. That's what is given to Devatas in the Puranic story. It looks like somebody somewhere, sometime it happened. We don't have to take it like that. We can take it symbolically, saying that the good is given. Devata is nothing but the good concept within us, good intention within us, the right intention within us. It's hard, it's suffering in the hands of bad. That's why Devatas are suffering in the hands of Danavas. And then Devatas, both of them, they're cousins actually. They are Devatas are born to, both of them are born to the sisters, actually. Same mother, same father, sisters are different, and their children, and then they fight. That means the very symbolically it is that both these things are there within us, good and bad within us. And then only that Amritatva is there given to the good, so that good prevails, good survives. Why good survives? You can see that even a most horrible person, most terrible person, most uh, violent person, deep inside he will have compassion and he will have goodness for his own people. He might tell lie to everybody, but in his own family he will never tell lie. He will be truthful to his own family. So that's why Dharma is there deep inside as a bedrock for everybody. Sanatana Dharma is there as a bedrock. And that is supported by these practices that we are doing. Sanatana Dharma survives. It comes back. So adharma will go away. So when we say Sanatana Dharma, the practices which sustain prema, tyaga, karuna, indriya nigraha. Apart from these things, we have also seen that dana, tapas, these are all the things which are supposed to be Sanatana Dharma qualities, which we have seen earlier in our earlier talks. Why we need to follow that? It is to see that when you follow these things, that dharma survives, you will survive in that dharma. Because basically dharma is that which is moksha is your own nature, moksha is your own quality, and that you reach. Dharma is that which will take you to the moksha. So both these things are there. Kama is there, and the artha is there. Both these things are there. The kama is the desire, and there are 2 different types of kama that is talked about. One is the desire, which is essentially that in fact, that's also another Upanishad says about that. Aitya Upanishad gives us the idea, saying that the hunger and the thirst, these 2 things are common to all of us. We are born with that to take care of it. But then we stop at the hunger and thirst, we survive. That's what the nature does. In fact, you see that an animal, as long as hunger is there, he goes for eating. Otherwise, they don't necessarily. That's why in the forest you don't see any obese animal. Though there is plenty to eat, you don't find an obese animal. They are very naturally take care of hunger with the help of food. Similarly, thirst. These are the things which are naturally available with us, and that hunger, thirst is given by the God Himself. Every child is born, will come with that hunger and the thirst. That's what we give. But only thing is that what happens with us is that when we go beyond that hunger and thirst, then we are in trouble. That gives us the vasanas and samskaras and all that. And that will bring us into the rotation cycle. So therefore, essentially that the kama is of the nature of hunger and thirst, that's fine. Kama beyond the hunger and thirst is something which is like the vasanas. And that's what binds us in the world outside. When you bind yourself in the world outside, the same object which is supposed to give you the satisfaction and touch with the bliss, but the same object will give you trouble. A small little sweet piece is something which will really give you that Brahmic experience within you. That's what Vishayanandoho Brahmananda Upanishad says. But the same thing that you get caught up with that object outside because of your vasanas, that the same sweet can give you the sickness. So therefore, that basically whole dharma is to see that how we can keep ourselves. For that, all these things are created. Now, this Kashyap Rishi is the father, and Kadru and Vinuta, these are the two sisters, and they're beautiful, most beautiful sisters, and Kadru and Kashyapa, I think. And then their children, Arun and Garud. And these two are Vinuta's children, and then Kashypa's 100 children and 100 Nagas, the 100 serpents that full of venom that is there. So therefore, this whole thing is by this, and Garuda is the one which who saves us from all these things. So anyway, these are the stories that are there behind the whole episode of what is this Kumbh Mela that has taken place. And then actually, there is another thing which I heard, that Shankaracharya has also given one more Akhada. Apart from this Naga Akhada, is also given another Akhada which was called as Kinnara Akhada. Kinnara Akhada is those who are the gender other than men, male and female. Today that's a big talk about that. Imagine that more than 2000 years ago, Shankaracharya has given another Akhada for that, which is supposed to be Ardhanari Akhada. Only today I heard that Ardhanari Akhada, they also have special place, special position in the Mahakumbh Mela to come and offer their salutation to this. So here, taking bath in the Kumbha itself is the most sacred aspect of it. In the Triveni Sangama that is there, taking bath in that place is most important thing. Apart from that, when you go out, in fact, that was my experience one time when I went to the Kumbh Mela, that there were several akhadas that they have got their own tents and their own heads are sitting there, and you can go and bow in front of them, take their blessings, seek their blessings and come back. And not only just seek their blessings and come back, look at their akhadas and be in the sense of wonder. You can just imagine that whole 12 years or 100, some people, they 12 years actually, yeah, once in 12 years that Kumbh Mela takes place. They come from Himalayas. Beyond that, you cannot find them out. Anywhere in the Himalayas, you cannot find out because they'll be hiding, they'll be somewhere deeply inside. They are not attracted towards the cities at all. But when something like this protection of the nation, Indian culture has come to their hand, they came up and they defended our culture. Imagine what an extraordinary, wonderful work these people that they are doing. What for? They don't have anything. All that they have is a trishul in their hand, and that itself is their weapon. Many of them, they don't even wear dress, but most important thing is they cover themselves with the ashes. And these two young engineers who became Akhada, they joined this Naga Akhada. They said, the very practice of us is that before we go, we put the Shraddha for ourselves. We offer the Shraddha for ourselves. That means to say, now we are already dead for the world outside. We are not living. And then we go. And these ashes are the ashes from the dead bodies, and their ashes that we smear ourselves on that, because basically what is living, what is the body inside and the ashes outside, they are not to separate. Only thing is ashes do not have the consciousness with that, but our skin is associated with the consciousness. That's why skin has a different approach. Other than that, it's all one and the same thing. How beautifully that they were expressing these things. Imagine, this is the death of Sanatana Dharma. Do you think that the Sanatana Dharma will extinguish, will go away? No, no way anybody can do anything for this Sanatana Dharma. That's the reason why there were so many cultures which have come on the earth and then went away in other parts of the world. But this Sanatana Dharma, which was there much before, billions of years, millions of years, much before that we were existing, today we are still vibrant. Not only that we are vibrant, because of now the availability of the information system, it's reaching far and wide in the world around. So, once again, please consider that all these rituals, all these things like Mahakumbha, Kumbha, all these things are extraordinary part of the Sanatana Dharma, and that survives the Sanatana Dharma. And what is that our role that we need to take from the Puranas and from the rituals and how we have incorporated those things? I will detail about that as we go further in our other talks. So I'll stop it here for today. Thank you. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
If anyone has any doubts, please share. You can unmute also.
Yeah.
Raghuramji, last time Nagarajji had asked some questions, no? Would you like to answer that
Yeah,
today?
what is that? I forgot about that.
Just 1 second, Raghuramji. Let me just
Yeah.
have a look at that question. Where is the question? Yes. There were 3 points mentioned in the lecture, as I understood. There is position that the concept of God came about because man couldn't understand the physical world. When
Yeah.
science started to explain some of these physical phenomenon, some people
Hmm.
went so far as to say there is no need of God. Some, like
Right.
Vivekananda, went in search of the truth if anyone actually has seen God and then experienced God. In this context, it is not uncommon to hear some people argue that our Puranas are nothing but a result of imagination. So, my
Right.
question is, how do we travel from this zone of maybe to the zone of belief that the scriptures are not just stories and the gods we believe are not an imagination?
See, this word imagination in English is a very deceptive word. That's why our Mandukya Upanishad makes it very clear, saying that dream is also a reality. But only thing is it's an individual reality. If I say that it is not real, then you might say, hey, I've seen my dream and I see that its effect on me, that my hands are shivering, legs are shivering. I'm stuck up with the fear because I had a very horrible dream. And then again, I would like to go back. You asked me to go back to the sleep. I'm afraid that once again that dream continues when I go to sleep. So you're afraid. So that means it's reality in that sense. So this imagination is something which is not an Indian word. It's a very deceptive word. So these gods and goddesses are also something like that people have experienced that. So for that, Ramakrishna, Vivekananda asked Ramakrishna, have you seen God? It might have been created by people, but the creation is so extraordinary about all these Puranas and all that. They are like living beings for us. They are always eternal living beings. That's what is the idea. That's why I gave that example also that Rama lived, say, historically, we have all the evidences of Rama lived, say, several thousand years ago, 7,000 years back. But you can see that just about 200, 300 years ago, Mirabai has seen Krishna or Jagaraj has seen Rama. He says like that, oh, I found out Rama. So that means to say these are the people who have seen it. So that means they reported that they have seen it. But people who are there around them, have they seen it? No, they have not seen it. Only Jagaraja has seen it. That's why he's written several kritis on that. Ramdas has seen it. That's why he's written several kritis on that. Now, how do we understand that? The way that we understand is the arts that we have, the music that we have, the various stories that we created around these things are such a way that when you immerse yourself in these stories, in these characters, in the beginning they appear to be in the form of a dream in front of you, but later on that becomes much more stronger and stronger reality than the normal dream reality that is there. Therefore, the Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said that the vision of Devi, vision of Kali, is so powerful for me that he said that the God is more real than I see you now. That is how we can interpret what Ramakrishna gave an expression to it. If there is anything like a dream, seeing you is like a dream, but for me, seeing the God is much more real. Actually, if you look at it also, that you can see that your dream, why we call dream is a dream is that because it's very low intensity, whereas our world outside is of a greater intensity. But if you think that, imagine that you are changing the uh, degree of information, degree of light, brightness of the your imagination, the form of a dream, can be much greater than the world outside. Is it not that it is becoming real for you? That's what is the idea. So these things in that sense are very real, but for very real for the individuals. Now, if somebody it was real, it can also become real for me. For somebody, Rama, Sita, extraordinary, became so real, even after 1,000 years later, it can also become real for me. So for that reason that we need to have all these Puranas, all these stories. Don't take them simply like imaginary stories. You see, imaginary stories we also created. We also had imaginary stories like the Harry Potter kind of things that we had. But we know that they don't become reality. Examples are like, for example, this just to convey a message, Vishnu Sharma has given the stories of Panchatantra. We know that. But the message is that, the fox talks and then animals talk, animals reply, animals, all those things that he has created. But to convey a message of spirit, morality to them. But then in reality, that they don't talk about. We know that they are stories. So we have ordinary stories created just to convey some message, moral message. That's what is Panchatantra like stories. And then we have also Puranas, which can be raised above the level of ordinary stories to a level where you can really live those characters within yourself. So that's what it can be possible. And third such set of Puranas are just really happened in the life, but we convert them into the Puranas so that their characters are ever existing. Buddha existed about 2000 years ago, 2005, but then we don't want Buddha to leave um, guiding us for generations to come. So therefore, Buddha is like a Puranic picture for us. That's why we say that Dashavatara, Buddha's avatar is also one of the avatars we have included. Very easy. Vivekananda said very beautifully, he said that if Christians would have been a little more patient, we could have easily accommodated Jesus Christ as one of the avatars. Because Jesus Christ conveyed the message of, you see, when all around the message of only law, according to law, you have to punish, etc., etc., was going on. Jesus was the first person who came amongst all of them, saying that forgive them and pardon her. That, the prostitute, pardon her. Like that, he says. So that shows that he was conveying much more than what the law conveyed.
Thank you, Raghuramji. I think
Welcome.
Nagaraji has not joined, I think so, but we'll let him know that.
Yeah. Mm.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we will close.
We'll close the session. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.
Yeah.
Thank you, Raghuramji.